Let's plant some cuttings. I'm friends with the Texas Boys. I will leave a link to the Texas Boys down below. And they were selling some elderberry cuttings, and I got some from them. They were very generous. Look how many they sent me. Phew. And there's even more in here. If I remember correctly, these are Adams. So I've got a bunch of elderberries already, but they aren't a named variety. So what I'm going to do is I went and bought a tote over here. This is going to be where I propagate these cuttings. I've got some rooting hormone in the house. I'll go get that here in just a minute. I also bought some perlite. When you're making your soil or the area that you're propagating, you can mix some moss and some perlite. I bought this big thing of peat moss. Papa told me afterward that I shouldn't have, and I did a little bit of research, and he's right. This is not very sustainable. Once it's all gone, it's gone. Something like coconut coir or something like that would be better. But I already bought this, so you can use something different in the future. I'm gonna mix this in here about half and half, and then I'm gonna put the cuttings in there. I'll go get my rooting hormone first, so I can dip them in there and show you what to do. Here's what the peat moss looks like. Here's the perlite right here. This keeps the soil very porous, helps with water retention. So a good way to do it is just mix it half and half, and we'll mix this all together and look and see how it looks, and then play with it some. Now you go get some water and put in it. If I'm honest with you, this is the very first time that I've done this. I've seen it done by others. I've read about it a bit. Usually I have just used this pre-made soil mix, potting soil, and that'll work fine. I decided to try to use this because I've read good things about it. When I put the water in here, I'm putting it in here until it kind of all is absorbed by this, this mixture. So you don't want to have really water sitting at the bottom. Another way you can solve that would be to put holes in the bottom. I'm not going to put holes in the bottom of this right now. I'm instead just going to put the right amount of water in here, and then it's going to get really humid in there, and it's going to be a perfect chamber for propagating these elderberries. And they also sent me a few figs as well. I got it all in here. I got the consistency the way that I want it. It don't have a whole lot of water sitting there at the bottom. I've got it kind of leveled out the way I want it. It's good. It's the way you want it. And now I've got this in my high tunnel, so whenever I come and open up the sides of the high tunnel, I might open this up a little bit as well. I may not, depends on, a couple things, how it looks in here and stuff like that. I'm gonna put this lid on here after I get them in here. But it really couldn't be too much simpler to propagate things. I got this rooting hormone. I've never used this before. I've used the Woods rooting hormone. You mix it a little bit with water. I've got it in the house. I can show you sometime later. But this is a rooting powder. The other was a liquid, and I've seen a lot of people use this, so I thought I'd give it a try. Now with elderberry, you really don't have to use this if you don't want to, but you get a better success rate. I did it this last year with the wild ones that were in my front yard, and I had probably about 50% success rate with it. With blackberries, I had about 25 to 50% success rate as well. By the way, these are the Texas Boys do like I do. I've seen others do this as well. At the top, it's kind of an even cut, and at the bottom, it's kind of diagonal. Do you see that? That way that I know that this is the bottom. And they've done this with all of these. Here's another one. That makes it really easy for you to tell which side goes into the propagation medium. Another thing you can do is you can wound it a little bit. Just make a little scratch. Do you see that? Here's the other side that doesn't have it. Now I'm putting it on there. And if you wound it just a little bit before you stick it in there, then it'll root a whole lot easier. So then just sticking it in there. I'm going to do that with all of these. I'm just going to wound it a little bit. Just a little bit. Don't take much. Oh yeah, and I forgot to stick it in the rooting hormone. Stick it in the rooting hormone. See, it's the powder on there. Shake the extra off. And then stick it in here. Stick in the rooting hormone. Powder on there. Shaking the extra off. And sticking it in the medium. And I'm gonna do that with all of these. So I'm gonna show you one more time. I've got all these except for 2 of the elderberries in here. And I think these are Adams again, like I said, and I've got some that are wild in my front yard food forest, so I'm just wounding it a little bit. Oh, I did the wrong side there, you see? So, right there. I've got some in my front yard food forest that are wild, but these are a named variety. Basically, they're just clones off of all the same one. The benefit you get from the named variety is you know a bit more of what you're going to get. So I think these Adams, they have a lot of fruit set. They come downward, so the birds will stay out of them. So there's some benefits to getting some named varieties. If you're looking to get a named variety, I think the Texas Boys have more than just Adams. If you want someone who's going to be very generous with you and who's going to provide some good cuttings and get them to you fast, then the Texas Boys are the ones. Look at how many they got for us. 27 here that they sent me, plus they also sent me a couple of figs. They sent me an Alma fig and a Celeste. I don't know if you can read that on there. And I'm gonna do the same thing that I did for these others. I've got 2 Chicago Hardy or brown turkey. I think it's the same kind. Figs are supposed to be really easy to propagate as well. I propagated some before, so I did the same thing. I wounded it a little bit. I'm just gonna stick it in this propagation medium. And what'll happen is they'll start forming roots in the spring. They'll all have roots, they'll have some leaves, and they'll be ready to plant. So that's a good thing. I won't have to wait for them then. You can, if you want to propagate, especially the elderberry. I think you can the figs the same way as well. But the elderberry, you can just stick them right in the ground. No rooting medium, no nothing. Just stick them outside and then wait for the spring. That's what I did, and I had about 50%, so that's pretty good. This way, I'll get a little bit more, and they'll be ready to go in the spring. All I gotta do is just take them out, separate them, and put them where I want them. And I've got a few ideas of where I want to put them. Elderberry are really beneficial because they're immune boosters. Get over illness faster to help prevent some illness, or so they say. I believe in nature's apothecary. You can also see that the buds are kind of pointing up a little bit. So if they aren't cut diagonally, you can see that for yourself. It's easier if they're cut a certain way, and the Texas Boys seem to do that. So I really won't have to add any water at all to this because I'm going to keep it closed, and it's already very humid. One of the things that you want with this is to keep it humid. So it's already very humid in the high tunnel itself, and then there's going to be an extra layer in here. So just going to close it up in here, and it's going to get sun, and it's going to get really humid. Whenever I come back to it in the future, I can show you, and you'll see that it has all sorts of moisture and condensation on the inside, at the top, and on the sides, and that means it's doing its thing. And I can also, I've got plenty of room in here for some more. I've only got about half of it filled. This is how you do propagation. Very easy. All I did was take, and you can also use, like I said, you can use the bagged potting soil, but I used peat moss and perlite, and I can keep using this over and over and over again. All I'll do is dig this out and make sure I get all the roots. And whenever I do that, then I can just transplant it. Easy peasy. And then I can use the same stuff over and over and over and over again. The cuttings have a bit of nutrients in them already, and it's not going to take a whole lot of nutrients out of the peat moss or the perlite. Perlite really doesn't have any nutrients in it. It's just a medium to keep it moist and to give it a space to grow. This is about 20 hours later. I told you there would be condensation in it. If you can see, I don't know how well you can see, but I'll open it up in just 1 second. It's full of condensation, super humid in there. I'm not sure the temperature in there. I might want to move it a little further out here in the center, but it is humid, and that's a really perfect environment for propagating cuttings. You don't have to add any more moisture unless you open it and close it all the time, and I probably won't. I'm going to open it now so you can see what's happened in just a little bit of time. You see all this condensation and all of it pour off, but since it's got all that moisture in there and it's a closed system, I mean, it's not perfectly closed. I can open it and close it a little bit, you see right here. Keep that moisture in there. Plus, it's really humid and moist inside the high tunnel most of the time as well. Let me open this up for you real quick and show you. You see all that condensation on here? Look. All that's condensation. You won't see any growth on there in a day. It'll take at least a few days and all that stuff. And even if it does grow, budding out and growing leaves in here, that doesn't mean that it's got roots. Because I've had a lot that's grown leaves, and then they just die off of there because it hasn't gotten any root development. We'll come in and check on it again, maybe in a week or two, and I'll show you. just really quickly, because there's not much more to do at this point besides whenever they get done, I'll just move them from here into the location I want them, but I won't do that until the spring unless they get tons and tons of growth on here, and if that happens, then I'll just move them into other pots. If you like things like this about propagating, I like to propagate. Propagating is really cool. But if you like things like this, then stick with our channel. We do some things like this. We also have animals. We have pigs and cattle and chickens and guineas and goats and all sorts of good stuff. And then we do a lot of gardening and stuff too. And we're still learning, so there's a lot of experimentation that's going on. So if you want to learn with us and see what works and what doesn't work, then stick around. Make sure you like this video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell, select all so you never miss a notification. Those things really do help our channel out, and it makes sure that you know when things are going on for us and on our homestead. We really appreciate you. We do new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and a live stream on YouTube every Sunday night. Thanks.